Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to OCD Recovery's YouTube channel. And I have a video today. When I was driving around just for a couple meetings, I was thinking about some of the things that, I get asked a lot in the webinars, things I get asked a lot in the coaching services and the WhatsApp groups. And I wanted to title this video, and I have the post in front of me because I just made it on the Facebook group. If you're not in the Facebook group, please join. 17,000 members. Lots of great content in there, and it's moderated, which can be frustrating for certain people who aren't used to being, explained what reassurance is and what reassurance isn't and how sneaky it can be. But I want to title this video, Things We Don't Need to Know When It Comes to OCD Recovery. And I think this is important. I starred this next. It's important to highlight there's nothing inherently wrong with many of the things I'm about to list. But if one is doing these in order to gain certainty, it can be a slippery slope for OCD sufferers. Now, there's many things I'm about to talk about that I have studied myself, that I have looked into research, and that I frankly think is really cool. I mean, I love neuroplasticity and I love the neuro research, but I understand the perspective I'm coming from has nothing to do with needing to understand this in order to rid ourselves. If you never knew the words neuroplasticity, you never knew the words neuroanatomy, neurophysiology, dopamine, serotonin, the gut-brain axis, all those things, the vagus nerve, any of the limbic system, if you never knew those and just understood that, as I said today in the webinar, you have a fear, and inside of that fear is a belief system. And you break that belief system down by looking at the things you're doing wrong and stuff like that. And that is absolutely critical. So the first thing I want to talk about is, and I'll read them and then talk about them because I do think it is important to read them out. Neuroplasticity, brain mapping, and in-depth neuroanatomy and neurophysiology. Good news, this stuff is really cool. More good news, we don't need to know this for recovery. If one never learned about a single neurotransmitter, hormone, or structure of the brain, they could recover. Now, I read lots of books. And in one of the books I'm reading right now, they dive into why it's so important to understand the neuroplasticity. Now, let me tell you why people use the word neuroplasticity, brain mapping. First of all, it makes people sound smart. But the thing is, they don't need to sound smart. All it is this. You have OCD. That's the way it is. Unconditional life acceptance. You're at a place right now where you're suffering. You have a fear, and you're avoiding that fear from compulsions and avoidance behaviors and deep-held irrational beliefs, and you work from there. And it's a slow process. Now, is understanding neuroplasticity cool? Is understanding brain mapping awesome, and there's some benefits to it? Of course. Does this touch chronic OCD recovery? Absolutely not. If this is your first line of defense, it really keeps people stuck in that cycle because this stuff isn't going to change your beliefs. That is key. Number 2, blood work. Knowing one's blood work isn't inherently bad, but can be a compulsive slope for health OCD sufferers. There isn't a single blood marker that one needs to know or understand, thankfully, in order to recover from OCD. We don't have to know our serotonin levels, our dopamine levels. We don't have to know our cortisol levels. All we have to know is our cortisol is really fucking high and we're really anxious all the time. And that's part of the belief system. The belief system, the compulsions, the avoidance, those are perpetuating all those negative, unhealthy emotions that we don't want to feel. But we don't have to know our blood work. Getting your blood work can have importance. Obviously, there's definitely a time and place for blood work. But if you're doing it compulsively and think it's going to give you an answer to OCD or the genetic part, then, we don't have to do that. Number 3, anything about trauma. Now, this is I have to break this down a little bit. Acknowledging events in your past can have merit, especially when one wants a basic understanding of how their beliefs were formed. Quotations or parentheses, but you'll never be able to get certainty on this. But most things in the past can be an issue. OCD sufferers believe there is a key in the past, a hidden key to unlock the answers. That key doesn't exist. Our beliefs are in the now and the driving factor of our OCD fears. The problem with saying you're an alcoholic, for an example, the problem with saying you've been traumatized, it's not easy when the person has been holding this belief for years and constantly telling themselves this to detach from that identity. But you're not an alcoholic. You're just a person who has struggled with alcohol and you're many other things. You're a father or a mother, you're a businesswoman or you're an employee. or you're a mailman, or you like pizza, and there's all these other things, but none of those things need to perpetuate the identity that you think you hold. Humans are basically, think about you're a human, right? This is a human, and you have all these other characteristic traits about you. The further those characteristic traits get from you, as in they're just a piece of you, but they're not you. But the closer they are to your being, you're like, I'm a bodybuilder. No, you're not. You're just a person that lifts weights. That might not be a bodybuilder one day. I'm an athlete. You're not. You're just a person right now who's athletic. These seem subtle, but this is how you detach the identity. Identity, anything, isn't good. Identity, politics, religion, money, food, identity, sports. We know this because anecdotally, when people lose those things, which things go wrong all the time, they crash and burn because they've attached their identity to these things. Understanding that is key. Number 4, things we don't need to know to recover. Again, got to say it again, but this stuff could be really cool to look at. If OCD is genetic or not, a dead end for most sufferers, lost time where our efforts can be unchanging our beliefs, fueling the cycle in the now. My father had OCD, many people in my family had OCD. I've worked with people where they said, no one in my family had OCD. That's great. We don't have to go any further than that. You're not going to find any answers in the past. Focus on the beliefs in the now, break those down, and that's actually how you get better from OCD. Number 5 and 6 are my 2 favorites. Is certain foods trigger OCD? There aren't any foods one needs to avoid in order to recover. Now look, balancing your life is great. Fast food's also great. Cookies are great. There's a place by my house that's custom cookies. Love it. I have like 3 donut shops by my house. Not good. Love them. Balance is key. If I ate donuts all day long but had a good understanding of stoicism, I could recover weighing 400 pounds at 5'7". But I don't think that would be healthy. We always talk about healthy lifestyle structures because they aid in frustration tolerance. But there's no food, no sugar, no anything you have to worry about in extreme cases when it comes to, is this going to inherit me? Is this going to stop me from recovering from OCD? The answer is no. No matter what anyone is telling you. It's really easy to think there's a diet tip or trick that's going to lead there. OCD will cut through that like butter. You want to make some lifestyle changes? Great. If you don't, not the best decision, but you can still recover if you change your beliefs, bring down your compulsions and avoidance behaviors. It's a good thing to cover. Number 6, if caffeine makes OCD worse, one can drink caffeine, even drink a little bit too much, wink, wink, talk about myself, and recover from OCD. The fear of fear is thriving in this. What if I drink too much caffeine? Or I saw a post the other day, drank caffeine, it triggered me, I'm going to avoid it. Well, you're telling yourself you're not going to be able to recover. It's subtle, and I got to explain it. There's nothing inherently wrong with caffeine. It's a fad, right? No caffeine, it's the worst thing for you. No, it's not. There's much worse things out there than caffeine. Caffeine is not inherently bad. Some people can't balance it that well. Sure, you're putting all the sugars and everything. It's still not the end of the world. Enjoy yourself. You live one time. I said today in the webinar, you got 2 options. It's binary. You either be black and white and don't put the work in and you die anyway. Or you make an effort to change the structures in your life, change your beliefs and balance and eat what you want and do all that stuff, and you still die. The end goal is the same. So I like to choose the path to where I'm going to try and make changes to my life. Sometimes I fail. I mean, sometimes a lot. And I try to regather myself, think about it critically, which I don't always do because I'm human and fallible, and I try to redirect. And I think that's really important. Number 7, every specific detail on medication side effects. Medications affect people in different ways. Always speak to your provider. Balance is key. First, remember, not here to talk about medications, but medication questions are by far, it would be naive to say this, they are the number 1 reassurance question I see in the Facebook group. Number 1. If I was to pool all of them in an analysis, it's understandable. They look scary. Suicidal ideations, extreme anxiety, weight gain, a lot of body dysmorphia, body image problems mixed in there. It's super understandable why people think that. But the good news is this. You don't have to take medications if you don't want. You know, they could take the edge off. And there's no shame in taking medications for the rest of your life if needed. Now, the goal should always be to be on less medications. We say that in healthcare is right. The goal is to not be on a statin, a blood pressure medication, an antidepressant, depressant, Jesus. But there's no harm in being on them, no shame. I mean, no shame is the right word. Because those side effects, they can come and go. And people react differently. Some people balloon up, some people don't. Some people it makes their OCD way worse, some people it doesn't. Some people come off and it makes them relapse. Some people it does nothing. You'll never be able to get certainty on that. Number 8, spending too much time focusing on EMDR, neurofeedback, and other fancy tools. There is no quick fix for OCD. Some of these might have application for other areas in our lives, but won't touch chronic OCD. Now, the reason why EMDR and neurofeedback are so popular is because the person doesn't need to do shit. They don't have to do anything. They show up, it's passive, do a couple things, talk about some trauma memories. And this isn't about trauma, this is about OCD. And they feel good in the moment, they've been reassured, you're doing great, you're not a bad person. They feel great, an hour later, they're back to where they were, or 20 minutes later, whatever it is, or a day later. Can they be applicable for other areas of our lives? Sure. Are they going to bring us to OCD recovery in of themselves? Absolutely not. You never have to do EMDR for OCD. You never have to do neurofeedback. If you do it and see some benefits, that's great. But I'd recommend working on your belief systems, bringing down compulsions and avoidance behaviors as well. Critical. Number 9, this is good. Things we don't need to understand. Whether our family understands OCD or not. Good news, they don't. LOL in capitals, unless they have OCD. Many people get resentful towards their parents. I mean, even I had family members that said, but you never had that when you were younger. And I said, well, that doesn't really matter. And because I have it now, that's like saying you didn't have cancer when you were 15, but now you're 55 years old and you have prostate cancer. So it's not as simple as, oh, that, this and that. They're not going to understand. Just because you go like this doesn't mean you understand what it's like to be blind. So I always tell people that. Just because you put your arm behind your back doesn't know you know what it's like to not have an arm. It can give you an idea, but in order to really understand something fully in and out, one needs to experience it, right? Look at the business. Look at spirituality, becoming more religious. You can read about the Bible, just as an example, because I'm not religious. You can read about the Bible and never really practice it. But someone can kind of read it, but really work on forgiving thy neighbor, working on stuff like that. Oh, Daisy's here being a little brat. So she's a little whiner. I'll add this as a bonus. Things you don't need to know for OCD. Whether your dog is going to interrupt you on a webinar or a one-to-one coaching. So that's key. Number 10, that there needs to be a perfect way to break down your beliefs. I get asked this all the time. OCD loves to latch on the recovery. Take the chance you'll make mistakes. There's no perfect ways. We have guidelines, but there's a lot of gray area. And I do want to add a bonus one in there, and I think this is key. I'm not any different from you. Rob's not any different than you. Moment is. He's a weirdo. I love Moment. Phil, anyone else. And I try to look at life the best through death. I'm going to die. I'm not going to be here. I'm going to go all in. All right? Sometimes I won't be balanced and I can rear back. But I'm going to take that risk because I'm going to move towards my goals. And I think that's key. I think it's such an important part. Now, we're not talking about motivation. We're talking about discipline and habits. And when I feel like right now it's 7:14 at night, I've been up since 5 in the morning, went to the gym for 2 hours, had a bunch of things going on in my day, driving all over the place, and I'm back, and I just had to do all the dishes, and my dog's barking with me, and I did a webinar today, and I'm so happy to be here now at 7 o'clock at night doing this for you because it means a lot to me. But am I tired right now? I'm a little tired, right? And I kind of didn't want to do this, but I wanted to do it because this is important, and my body was like, oh, you're tired, waiting that. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you want more videos like this where they kind of come off Facebook posts, let me know. Please email info@ocdrecovery.com if you're interested in the webinar services or coaching services. They're a lot of fun, right? People all over the world, you get to meet people. How often do you get to talk to people all over the world and hear people in different cultures talk about their fears, and it's a great thing. So thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great day or night.